Hello, everybody. My name is Mauricio, also known as Bunny or Conejo Capital on Twitter. I'm the CEO of co-founder Andorra. We're actually also joined here by the two other co-founders, two out of the four other co-founders of Andorra, Ann, Chai, and Silicon FX. So also you can go chat with them after this talk. Today we'll be talking about something that is actually it's a bit of an introduction to three really big news that we have on Andorra as a product, and also as something that might be very interesting to you if you're launching a VM, an alternative VM, a new VM, or also starting to innovate within the EVM landscape. Today we'll be talking about discovering the new infinite frontier. Search the unified multi-chain and multi-VM world. As previously mentioned, I'm Conejo Capital on Twitter. Our company's Twitter account is Search Andorra. So let's set the agenda. So first, we're going to have a really quick recap of modular acceleration, how this is a 0 to 1 moment. We've all experienced it. That's the reason why we're all here, and that is why we're having a Modular Summit. Then we're going to dive into the Infinite Garden, just a really quick glimpse into it, but also into how this does not equal that we're going to experience a limitless EVM. We're actually starting to hit some of the limits of the EVM, both in a structural and also cultural standpoint, especially when it comes to UX. Then we're going to explore the new infinite frontiers, multi-VM worlds, how stylus, fluent, and movement are all innovating within the multi-VM landscape. And ultimately, we'll look at the infinite discovery engine, which is where we'll announce three really big news from our team. So let's start. So modular acceleration, 0 to 1 moment. One of my favorite graphs that I've now used, I believe, 5 times across different conferences is the one by 0x Coffee, in which we're able to break down their different roll-up economics that we're experiencing as an entire industry. Very simple, let's say, equation: profit equals L2 transaction fees earned minus L1 call data, blobs, and verification costs. There is a little bit of nuances on, maybe they're paying a little bit more of the sequencer fees or the roll-up as a service. Maybe they're running their own sequencer. Maybe they're entering into agreements with different infrastructure providers. But regardless, this is the on-chain profit that we're able to at least guarantee that they're making. So if we're able to elaborate a little bit more on this, we look a bit more closely. We see that in total, as of last month we made, as an entire cohort, 4.1K of ETH. This being denominated into $15.32 million as of yesterday, as of the time of making this slide and updating it, which feels pretty good, honestly. As an entire subcategory, we are starting to see that actually running rollups is quite profitable. We see the teams are Arbitrum leading the charge, the teams at Base, OP, Mainnet. We are starting to see even teams starting to subsidize a little bit their own running of their chain, like let's say the Polygon CKVM, which actually is at a negative loss of ETH with minus 32 ETH as of last month. You can find more about this on Dune.com, Infinite Tables, or just search up rollup score economics. So now we have this infinite garden of the EVM. We're starting, but however, this does not equal a limitless EVM. Quick recap on the Infinite Garden, how we got here. We got here thanks to all the innovations on data availability, thanks to Celestia, EigenDA, ABSs, Ethereum blobs, EIP 4844. This made it infinitely cheaper to actually be able to start working on rollup as a service. We have shared sequencer networks start showing up. The team is Astria, Spread, so you can also chat with them. You should definitely chat with them if you're looking to launch your own rollup and actually have cross-chain interoperability. Then our sequencer interoperability. Then we have rollup as a service teams. Of course, they are honestly one of the most crucial ones within all these networks. We have the teams at Ledger, Gelato, Gateway's rollup as a service offering, Presto, Caldera, and Conduit. All of these teams have also become hyper-specialized in some of these SDKs. Some of the ones that we're seeing right now flourishing quite heavily are the Arbitrum Orbit and Nitro SDK, the Superchain Optimism OP Stack SDK, Polygon CDK, as well as the most recently announced, as of this month, CK Sync's Elastic Chain. Now, interoperability solutions related to this, quick recap, we have a Squid router, which works closely with the Axar team, a cross protocol, which actually is one of the major providers for all of these integrations that be effectively aggregated across, such as, let's say, Socket, Decent, we also have, of course, Hyperlane, a more open source solution for being able to create interoperability from your rollup, as well as with wallet providers that are a lot more personable, a lot more easy to onboard a Web2 user by letting you create embedded wallets with, let's say, Face ID, Google accounts, and whatnot. And then we have, of course, our bread and butter for every rollup, which are index data subgraph providers, token NFT APIs, as well as multi-chain search engines, and maybe a little bit more with Goldsky, Simplecash, and Dora. So now we are starting to hit the limits of the EVM. What are some of these bigger issues? I could dive into most of the technical discourse onto why EVMs are not necessarily the best, but just to keep it very straightforward, we're starting to see even some simple UX issues in which fees could be lower, the developer mindshare is shared across languages, and we see that simple UX does translate into users, which at sometimes EVM does not have. To elaborate a little bit more on that, we have other EVMs evidence of growing TVL there, global mindshare growth, as well as one of my favorite tweets by the founder of Movement, your mom won't spend $50 for a JPEG, in which, yeah, I don't think that anyone's parents is going to willingly spend $50 for using a non-chain distributed database without a good reason behind it. So a bit of evidence on that. We're seeing on Google Analytics, Google Trends, that buy SOL is actually dominating above buy ETH as of these past couple months, as well as starting to see even a more global presence of global fragmentation of what is actually a good representation of crypto. We're starting to see dominance, especially within countries where maybe the dollar-denominated EVM spending is not as friendly for someone's currency. How do we see this in practice? We see that TVL percentages across EVMs and alt VMs, yes, there's still a very big lead by Ethereum as of last month. However, we're starting to see growing interest of other VMs like Solana, Sui, Aptos. They are very much still on the lead from even other L2s out there. So this is not something that should be just taken as granted. Ethereum's dominance over the TVL and crypto mindshare is not something that we can really keep on taking for granted anymore. So what is this new infinite frontier? MultiVM worlds is specifically what we're working on as of recently, as a cohort. Some of the offerings out there are currently like Arbitrum Stylus. So they enable WASM compiling of any single, they enable you to deploy smart contracts that can compile with WASM, meaning that you can deploy Rust, C, C++ code. You're able to, of course, keep on deploying Solidity into it, just as any other standard EVM. You then are starting to see some interesting projects actually play around with protocol cross-app interoperability, in which they have some of the very heavy compute to be run on Stylus, and then some of the more, let's say, Solidity optimized or more hard to migrate operations of their application to still be maintained within Solidity. Then, one of the really big selling points for Stylus has been that it's been cheaper. They've demonstrated 10x cheaper compute than Solidity, and then 10x cheaper memory usage as well. One of my favorite graphics by the Stylus Arbitrum team is that WASM VM contracts 100%, full EVM compatible, more languages, supports more languages like Rust, and with optimized performance. Now, another approach that we're seeing is one of Movement, in which they're actually mixing two different implementations of Move, the one at Sui and Aptos, as well as their own implementation of the EVM on M2. And then they have M1, which is a Move and Shrine chain that will be community owned. Then, because they are developing this, they are also open sourcing their SDK, so anyone can start experimenting with either deploying a fully Move-based chain or an Aptos Sui Move and AVM-based chain with a Movement SDK. They have Fractal Move, which is their EVM interpreter that effectively posts back information to EVM information to Move. And then they have, finally, the Move Share Sequencer, which enables interoperability between the M1 Move chain and the M2 chains that will be composed primarily by 3 different chains and eventually be unified into one single chain that supports all 3 languages. Another point that we should highlight is that they also borrow a lot of the L1 ETH security and L1 ETH liquidity. This is something that primarily other L1s that are move-based have not managed to do without having a very deep bridge integration, which actually enshrines them and creates a really big bridge risk. Then, to elaborate a little bit more, we've seen movement have effectively enshrining this multi-VM experience in which you're able to create applications that are cross-compatible with Aftersmooth, SUIMove, and then movement EVM, which has led to quite a few applications starting to experiment with maybe high throughput, let's say high throughput, lower security trading, but lower throughput and higher security lending protocols. Then another solution that we've started to pop up more recently is the approach of a blended VM, in which you're now enshrining all three languages into a single VM. You're enshrining Wasm, Solana VM, EVM, and then you're able to therefore leverage millions of Web2 libraries that people feel a lot more comfortable developing on than just having to ask them, hey, please learn Solidity. Again, they are Ethereum aligned, they are fluent in L2. It will be leveraging L1 e-security, L1 ETH liquidity, as well as, again, we start to see the concept of a multi-VM interoperability. Fluent L2 as a high throughput chain can achieve real-time composability across apps with multiple VMs. Here we see a little graph of all the different languages that should be supported from day one on movement, and also will be continue to add different modules that will add support for various languages as there's growing demand for them. So now we have the infinite multi-VM frontier, or what I like to call why I stopped worrying about picking one ecosystem and its trade-offs and just started building. So we have single VM burst and multi-VM rollups. We have this battle between monolithic single VM chains in which they're looking to hyper-specialize and create a generalizable environment for blockchains. And then you have the approach of a modular multi-VM chain in which they start integrating every ecosystem's infrastructure for real-time multi-VM interoperability, which is a much more comprehensive offering for anyone out there that is looking to just get started in any ecosystem. It brings a lot of assurance to know that your chain is constantly innovating and bringing any single innovation from any ecosystem back to you. So each application is a chain, each VM is a chain. How can we discover them all? What we're seeing is that we've started to work as of 2.5 years ago. We started to work on something that now we call the Infinite Discovery Engine, DORA. So power users are familiar with the tools for each ecosystem, each VM, each new L1, L2, L3, etc. We don't expect power users to be the one. We expect power users to be the ones driving the building on all of this ecosystem. However, we don't necessarily expect them to be most of the volume, most of the engagement. We see that the way technology actually gets pushed forward is one in which you're able to onboard a lot more users that are not crypto native. So we start using mass. We very much believe in aggregation theory, this concept that has been very widely explored, especially by a search engine team out there called Google, in which mass users start to utilize the most generalizable, friendly, and certified by institution tooling. This means that there's this feedback loop in which a tool provides visibility and discovery back to certain, let's say in this case, rollups, and then the rollup is able to also start enshrining slowly but surely different tools that they believe will be consistent, reliable, and will effectively protect their users and make their onboarding experience into them much more straightforward. So this is what we call the Infinite Discovery Engine. 2 days ago, we announced the fundraise. We've been working on this for, as I said, 2.5 years. We have some very wonderful backers. We're very much happy with them. We couldn't have done this without the help of people, even in the audience. We're very much happy with all the support. But how does this look in practice? We have DORA, we have the multi-chain search engine. If you want to get on the list of chains, you can hit us up. You can find us on @search_on-DORA, or just come talk to me, come talk to our team after this talk. So now we get into the exciting announcements. So far, if you've been on DORA, you've realized that we have been, like most explorers, provided a single chain experience for every single one of our block explorers. This is nice, this is cool. People still very much appreciate this experience to navigate the multi-chain world. However, as of in a few weeks, maybe in a few months, as of Q3, DORA profiles are coming to DORA, which means that now we have native multi-chain support views for every single token, NFT, activity interactions, collapse back to our single on-chain interface. This means that you no longer have to have any single block explorers do any integrations with any or third-party solutions to be able to resolve back to one single interface, or you no longer have to ask your users to go to another block explorer that actually fragments their experience from their native L1 or L2. You can just start using Dora to experience the multi-chain world. And another update, Dora Actions is live today. You can start swapping and bridging on Dora. Here, there's an example of me of swapping 10 ETH into Arbitrum. Maybe you can start doing that as well. And the biggest update of them all, and the reason why we're actually very excited to be at Modular Summit today, is that as of the past couple of weeks, we've reached an agreement with the Fluent and Movement teams. We're going to be the first block explorer that goes multi-VM. In this way, we seek to start providing not only support for M1 and M2, but any Aptos SUI Move compatible chain out there, any blended VM compatible chain out there. We're chatting with a few other L1s that have also gotten interested on our multi-VM offering. We don't believe that it's fair to ask users to keep on learning new infrastructure when they go to every single new ecosystem. Even if you're going beyond EVMs, you should still maintain the exact semblance of, oh, I have one Dora profile, I have one Dora Actions widget, I have one single point of trust where I can make sure that they will choose an effective interoperability provider such that I can go to any ecosystem I want. And thank you very much. The MultiVM future is calling. Will you answer the call? Thank you so much.